Are you struggling with overlapping date ranges in SQL Server? It can be a real headache, especially when you need to separate those dates for accurate reporting. Don't worry, you're in the right place. Today, we will tackle this issue together. I completely understand how frustrating it is when your data isn't structured the way you need it. Overlapping dates can lead to inaccurate results and confusion. You're definitely not alone in this struggle. Many SQL users face similar challenges. Let's dive into the specific question at hand. One user recently asked how to separate overlapping date ranges in their SQL table. They provided a sample table with start and end dates, and they want to ensure that the dates do not overlap. Sound familiar? Let's work through this together. So what exactly is the issue here? The user has a table with date ranges, and some of these ranges overlap. This can complicate data analysis and reporting. We need to break these ranges down into non-overlapping segments while keeping the original data intact. And stick around. At the end of this video, I will share a pro tip that can help you manage your SQL data more effectively. You won't want to miss it. To begin solving the user's problem, we need to create a common table expression, or CTE, to identify overlapping date ranges. This will help us separate the rows correctly. Next, the user should select the rows from the CTE where the start date is less than or equal to the end date of the next row. This will help us find the overlaps. Now, the user needs to adjust the end date of the overlapping rows. This can be done by using a case statement to set the new end date based on the next start date. Finally, the user can insert the adjusted rows into a new table. This will ensure that the original data remains intact while creating the desired output. Fun fact, did you know that SQL was developed in the early 1970s? It's amazing how far we've come in data management since then, but some challenges, like overlapping dates, still persist. Now, let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach to dividing rows with dates in SQL Server 2014 involves using a temporary dates table generated by a common table expression. This method treats the problem as a gaps and islands scenario. By applying outer apply to get the latest start date and gross sales price, you can identify groups for reaggregation using two row numbers. After identifying the groups, you can insert or delete rows using the merge statement. This allows you to update your original table with the new start and end dates while maintaining the gross sales price. Let's check out another perspective from a different user. An alternative approach suggests using the datetime2 type instead of datetime for better precision. It also recommends using closed open intervals, meaning the end date should not include the last moment of the day. This avoids issues with rounding that can occur with the datetime type. The user also suggests consolidating all start and end dates into a single list with flags to indicate whether each date is a start or end. By calculating a running total of these flags, you can determine when all overlapping intervals have ended. Now, let's shift our focus to a different response. An alternative approach suggested by a user involves using the lead function to find the next row's start date. This helps determine if the current row's end date needs to be adjusted. If the next start date is less than the current end date, the end date is updated accordingly. Additionally, the user proposes using a common table expression, or CTE, to achieve the same result. This method allows for more complex logic by incorporating both the previous and next row's dates, ensuring all overlaps are handled correctly. That's it for that response. Let's explore another one. An alternative solution provided by another user involves using the lead function, which is available in SQL Server 2012 and later. This approach assumes that all datetime columns are mandatory and unique. The user suggests selecting new start and end dates by applying an outer join to the start and end dates, adjusting the end date using the lead function. Now, let's see a response from a different user. An alternative solution provided by another user suggests using simple joins and unions to separate overlapping date ranges. They recommend adding an ID using a common table expression to facilitate the process. Here's the pro tip I promised. Always validate your date ranges before inserting them into your database. This simple step can save you a lot of time and headaches down the road. And there you have it. You've learned how to separate overlapping date ranges in SQL Server. Remember, keeping your data organized is key to effective analysis. If you found this video helpful, please subscribe for more tips and tricks.